The future can be a scary thing for most of us. Whether we dread it, run from it, or embrace it, it's a part of life we all must put up with. Sometimes we have good futures, and sometimes we have bad futures, and Digimon Tri was no exception to this rule. When I first started this marathon, I found that the series started off on a decent note, but as time went on, the series took a nosedive in terms of quality to the point where after the 5th movie, I had little to no hope that the future of Tri or even Digimon Adventure as a whole would be a bright one. But now the day has arrived where the future of Tri has now become the present because the final film has been released. So did it save Tri? Did it make up for a satisfying conclusion after all that happened with the previous films? Well, my friends, the answer to all of that was no. I didn't like this movie. If anything, I considered it one of the worst parts of Tri, and definitely a worse ending than the ending of O2. Say what you will about the career path not making any sense in the 02 epilogue, say what you will about TK and Kari not happening, but at least they tried to wrap up a lot of the plot threads in O2 instead of left almost all of them hanging, and at least it tried to make the final boss interesting. Okay, slight correction, I noticed this while editing the footage and all that jazz, and this makes me hate the movie even more now, but holy fuck, did they seriously copy their let's give all our energy to this one Digimon to kill this thing from O2? If so, holy fuck, Tri, you couldn't even make the final battle unique? You had to steal from O2? Are you kidding me? That is so pathetic. Okay, back to the review. Tri Future has none of that. And sure, it's unfair to compare a 6-movie series that reaches 25 to 26 episodes by the end of it to a Digimon series that has 50 episodes, but at the same time, a crappy conclusion is still a crappy conclusion, and they have 3 years to prepare for this. So no, I refuse to give this crappy ending a pass because it has less episodes and less time. They chose to make it that many, they chose to add in padding for a bunch of these movies, and this is the end result. But let's start with some positives before I rip it to pieces in detail. I liked the scene with Gabumon and Matt, the music was also pretty good as always, and I did like that the 02 Kids plot points finally resolved, and that's fucking it. With the exception of the 02 plot point, the other plot threads are still unresolved for the most part. Who is Dark Genai? No clue. Why take on the appearance of Genai? No clue. Who is the Yggdrasil? No fucking clue. What possessed Kari in the last movie that was different from homeostasis? No clue. How did Tai survive while Daigo was pretty much bleeding despite that not making any fucking sense for those who watched the last movie? No clue. On top of that, the story makes a whole bunch of new problems with it. For instance, why did Kari get a fever? The film says that she pushed herself, but all that she did for most of that movie was get possessed and stand around for the most part. Legit though, it feels like they did that to keep her out of the movie for a good chunk of it, yet they kept Mei around for a good chunk of that film as well, despite her also not having a Digimon. Then again, outside of homeostasis, Kari hasn't really done much in the Tri series up to this point. Yeah, nice to see one of my favorite characters, specifically from 02, get treated like a background character. Yeah, no, it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. Speaking of Mei, another issue I have with this film is that Meikomon had pretty much all the data for the digital world before the reboot, and that they could get the memories back with a password from Mei. Not only does this feel incredibly convenient to have the solution inside of Meikomon and things go back to normal with the Digimon with ease, but it also feels anticlimactic because they didn't really have to work hard for it. Then again, as I said in my reviews of the past 5 movies, the very idea of the reboot in the 3rd movie felt pointless to begin with since it felt like a cheap way to get them into the digital world, so I guess this was their way to clean up their own mess, even if it was a stupid means to do so. Oh, and this whole idea that Meikomon was so strong because it had so much data inside of it, yeah, so is that why in the 3rd movie before the reboot even happened, Meikomon was able to kick their asses in its ultimate form? Yeah, that part is never really explained in this movie or even addressed. Whoops. Then again, this film makes the claim that Meikomon absorbed Ophanimon when, no, it was unconscious when Ophanimon was in the sky, and the dark energy made the two merge, so frankly, I can't even act surprised that they forgot their own continuity in this shit. Oh, and speaking of stupid, not only is Mei needed for the password to free everyone, but her Digivice also unlocks a new mode for Omegamon that saves the day? Yeah, you can fuck off, movie. Yep, it's all thanks to Mei. It's all about Mei being the light, even though there are 9 main characters in this series, and Kari is the one with the crest of light. Seriously, I want to call this a Deus Ex Machina since it comes out of nowhere and fixes the problem, but that term is thrown around like candy nowadays for shit that isn't even a Deus Ex Machina, thanks to CinemaSins, that it's lost all meaning at this point. But even if I don't want to call it that term, I still find it stupid that Mei is so important to the whole shebang to the point where she gets the most focus and is the main reason the day is saved, when again, there are 9 main characters, and as the previous 2 series showcased, they can make the final battle of the series work without having one character be the saving grace or cornerstone to it all. But unfortunately, this was also a recurring problem with Tri. there was a larger emphasis on Mei and less on the cast as a whole. I know it's hard to give development to a large cast of characters in a short amount of time, but the alternative solution shouldn't be to make your new character be given the most focus, since that is also a terrible extreme to take, because then you make your new character more important and given more time than the other main characters in your cast, who were ultimately left more undeveloped and not given much time to shine by comparison. And when that starts to happen, I think that should be a sign that you should begin revising your plans. But enough about Mei. How are the other characters? Honestly, I just couldn't care about any of them. Not horrible, not amazing, just apathy. And for the final installment of the Tri series, that is not a good sign if most of the characters, especially the main ones, are just ones I can respond with just a shrug or apathy, because we've followed these guys for 6 movies now. I should be excited to see them, but I just couldn't care about them in this film at all. Hell, that scene with Gabumon and Matt, that was one of the only scenes of the main cast that I actually felt something other than apathy, because it was legitimately touching to see, showing that Gabumon does care about Matt and Matt does care about his partner underneath his rough skin and persona. It's just a pity that it was one of the only few scenes where I could feel something towards these main characters. TK embracing Kari? I didn't care. Hell, I rolled my eyes at Patamon's comment about not looking because it was honestly just throne-worthy to me. Tai talking to Mei at the end? I didn't care about that either. Matt talking about going into space? I yawned during that bit. The ending itself? Barely anything happened and barely anything was resolved, plus it left more questions than answers. And as I've stated before, things that make me apathetic are honestly worse to me than something that actively pisses me off, because when it pisses me off, it at least succeeded in making me feel something. Speaking of feels, let's deal with the death of Ordinmon. Actually no, I felt nothing during that bit, so how about Ordinmon instead? Listen, I've talked about this before, and I will say it again. I hate these villains that are just uber strong and have nothing else to them, and Ordinmon is no exception. All it has going for it is that it's uber strong, runs the risk of a potential real-world reboot, which made me shake my fucking head at how stupid that idea was. It just flies around outside of that. Malomaiosmon, Apokumon? Fuck those final bosses. This random creature with tits hanging out and sass on display is clearly way more interesting. Oh, and speaking of uninteresting, Dark Ganai is absolutely fucking worthless in this movie. Legit though, Dick Ganai, oh, I'm so fucking funny. Kills Daigo, who barely did anything in this series, which made his death not as effective either, since I barely cared about him as a character. He spends most of the movie being creepy and laughing his ass off, and he's not even beaten in this movie. He opens up a portal to the digital world and hints at a possible continuation to the series, but honestly, I really hope that doesn't happen, because if they couldn't tell much of a story in this series, why the fuck would I pay to watch them try it again? Especially when that money could be used on movies that have way more effort and care put into it. And you know, it's funny. One of the main themes of Tri is growth, yet instead of improving their writing and writing better villains, all 6 of these movies have villains more one note than the original 2 series. That is really fucking depressing. Oh, and if you're wondering what happened to Alphamon and Maki, they're not even mentioned in this movie either. Neither is the shred of a Pokemon. So I guess their solution to having too many villains in Tri was to basically pretend they don't exist in this final movie. But yeah, Tri Future was honestly a big disappointment and a really shitty way to end off the series. As a conclusion, it barely resolves / ends the ongoing plot threads the previous films had, save for maybe the O2 plot thread, and the other resolutions were handled really poorly or not at all. As the continuation of 0-2, the characters are a lot less interesting than the first 2 series, and the story isn't all that great either, and has a lot of continuity flaws, and as a film on its own, the story is terrible, the characters are not that great or interesting, the writing is shit, and the only things I enjoyed were a couple of minor scenes and the music. No matter which way I looked at this film, the film fails in every way, and I will not be supporting any future films with the adventure name on it because they fucked me over once with this project and I refuse to let it happen again. But hey, I'll give it this as a positive. It somehow made an ending that sucks more than O2's ending. That takes some serious effort. And on that note, I'm David Grimm, and thanks for watching.